Hey guys, John Jr. here, bringing you guys another Pokemon video. Today, we're going to talk about Fluttermane in competitive Pokemon, and I do know this was recently banned to Ubers, but it is currently being allowed in most draft league settings, as a lot of people want to test it out before we just outright ban it, see how overwhelming it is, which I do think it will be supremely overwhelming. But before we get into that though, did you know that only about 25% of my viewers are subscribed, as shown by the graphic on screen? If you are unsure if you are subscribed, you can go ahead and scroll down, and if you see that red subscribe button, you can go ahead and click it. It is absolutely free, helps me out a ton, and while you are down there, you can go ahead and click that like button as well, because it really shows me that you enjoy this video and you want me to continue making videos. So Fluttermane, for those of you that do not know, is past Misdreavus, another past Pokemon. This Pokemon can only be found in Pokemon Scarlet. This Pokemon at first glance does not look like it would be the best Pokemon in the format. I mean, how could it be? It's a past Misdreavus. It literally, it doesn't compute. However, the combination of Ghost and Fairy typing as well as its stats really make for just an unbelievable Pokemon. So to start, the Ghost Fairy typing is such an unbelievable typing. The one thing that really stops Ghost types besides normal types is going to be Dark types, and that is basically eliminated with the Fairy typing. It can Moonblast its way past those Dark types, and really there's not going to be a ton of great checks to this Pokemon other than bulky normals like Blissey, things that can take a lot of special hits. As far as the stats go, we only have 55 HP, 55 attack, and 55 defense, but we have 135 in special attack, special defense, and speed, and that special attack and speed is where this is really going to matter. This Pokemon is one of the fastest Pokemon in the format, one of the fastest usable Pokemon in the format, with an absurd 135 base special attack. So essentially, it's a little bit slower than Dragapult, but it hits way harder than Dragapult and can kind of hit those things that Dragapult did not like coming in on it. Of course, Dragapult got U-turn, this thing does not get U-turn, so there's pros and cons. Dragapult still might be better than this Pokemon, we are not sure. In OU, clearly not though, because this is banned in OU currently. So what do the other stats mean for this Pokemon? So the low HP and the low defense stat means that a really easy way to beat this Pokemon is not only priority moves like Sucker Punch with Chien-Pao, Ice Shard with Chien-Pao, things like that, but just hitting it on the physical side, being able to soak up one hit, which is possible, and hit it on the physical side is going to be able to knock this Pokemon out. However, especially in the draft league setting, I've seen this Pokemon used as a pivot into things like Rotom Wash, just to sponge a 24% from Volt Switch and then be sitting there offensively pressuring whatever wants to come in, maybe forcing something in particular to come in, because there are very few Pokemon that check this Fluttermane, and they will have to sit in a very particular check. As far as the move pool goes, this thing has a very deep and diverse move pool, even though it doesn't really need it. It does. It has things like Shadow Ball, Hex, and Moonblast for stabs. Also has Dazzling Gleam for you VGC players. Shadow Ball, obviously going to be the strongest hitting stab that it has. Hex is there. If you do have a status stacking team, you could use something like Glamora very, very well with this Pokemon. Get T-Spikes up and then have Hex in the back to be able to destroy your opponents very easily. You also have Moonblast. Moonblast is very strong. 95 base power, one of the strongest stabs in the game. 30% chance to lower special attack. Doesn't get much better than that, and the combination of these two stabs are almost impossible to switch into. One thing that does switch into them though is going to be bulky steals, in which case you have Mystical Fire Force. So these four moves alone really give you coverage for just about any situation, and it still has an even deeper move pool. This Pokemon can also be used as a very good utility Pokemon, specifically in Draft League. It has things like Perish Song to be able to make things trap, and I also believe it has Mean Look. Yep, it has Mean Look plus Perish Song. It also has Pain Split with the low 55 base HP. Pain Split is going to be amazing if you switch it on like the Rotom like I was talking about earlier, soak up a Volt Switch, maybe you've taken 2 and some rocks, you're at about 34%. You Pain Split up, you're going to get back up to full essentially, because this Pokemon has such low HP. And while it doesn't have recovery, Pain Split is pretty good for ghosts with low HP like this Pokemon. We also have two other really good supporting moves. We have Memento. Memento is going to be good because this thing is just so fast. If you get low enough of HP, you're not running Pain Split for whatever reason, and you have a setup Pokemon in the back, you can click Memento on whatever Pokemon, make sure that they're weakened for that Pokemon setup. This Pokemon works in conjunction really well, I feel like, with certain Pokemon to set up in the back. I don't know, like a Roaring Moon or something. You're never going to get that in Draft League, but if this thing was ever allowed back on the OU ladder, that would be very, very nice. And especially in Ubers now, you can go ahead and Memento into some big threats, like maybe like a Swords Dance Groudon, or a Choice Specs Water Spout Kyogre. Maybe you don't take enough damage or something. I don't know how Ubers works right now. I'm just kind of speculating. And then our last move is going to be Calm Mind. Calm Mind's very good. It's its only form of setup as far as I'm aware. Does not get Nasty Plot. So raising your special attack is very, very nice. Raising your special defense isn't really necessary with this Pokemon, but getting the +1 and not having to be specs is going to be amazing for Fluttermane. And the last four moves I want to show, it has a lot of good moves like Energy Ball and Thunderbolt as well to help its coverage. But I wanted to show a couple more support moves because this Pokemon is a lot more than just a Choice Specs button, specifically in Draft League. So we have Taunt, Wish, Thunder Wave, and Trick Room. Taunt is going to be amazing to not allow things to set up in your face, not allow things to Thunder Wave you, things like that. You have a Wish. Wish isn't going to be too great because it's a 55 base HP Pokemon, but Wish is super valued in a generation where hazards are crazy and Roost is APP and not as well distributed. You have Trick Room. Trick Room allows other Pokemon to go last. You're never really going to want to use it on this Pokemon, but maybe you just need Shadow Ball for a matchup. You're trying to fill up some slots. Maybe you have some slow Pokemon in the back. You could have Trick Room on there just in case that ever happens. And of course, we have Thunder Wave as well. It doesn't have Will-O-Wisp, unfortunately, but you can Thunder Wave plus Hex, and you could be pretty set there. As for the sets, I do actually have 6 sets for the Flutter Mane. I do think it is a lot more versatile than on the surface, because on the surface you think of this very first set here, which is just Choice Specs, Shadow Ball, Hex, Moonblast, and Mystical Fire. Hex can be replaced with a multitude of moves. I just have Hex on here because you could run it with something like I said earlier, Glimmora works really well with this Pokemon. You get like T-Spikes up, and then you just have an in-game full of Hex if they have no normal types. So Choice Specs, obviously probably the best set on this Pokemon. Normally, probably just going to be Terra Ghost, obviously, if you're in Draft League. Terra Fairy could work as well, I guess. That way you lose a lot of weaknesses, and Fairy is just a really good typing in general. And Moonblast is very strong, and a lot of teams don't resist it, so kind of hard to choose on that one. I think probably with this set, I would go Terra Ghost, but up to interpretation. The next set is going to be Sub Calm Mind. We are Sub CM, Moonblast, Shadow Ball, just dual stabs, max HP with leftovers. Very self-explanatory set. You're able to Calm Mind a lot of special attackers, boost past them to where they can't break your sub after maybe 1 or 2 Calm Minds, depending on what Pokemon you're facing, and then you're able to just break Pokemon. The next set is going to be more of a utility set. I have Lumberry on this Pokemon. You can use like a lot of items. I have Lumberry just so you can switch it on something, maybe absorb a Thunder Wave, maybe absorb a Toxic, and then taunt it the following turn. We are Taunt, T-Wave, Hex, and Pain Split. This Pokemon sets the status for itself. In this case, Thunder Waving whatever Pokemon wants to come in, and then you're able to Hex it on the following turn. Pain Split to restore its HP, because like I said earlier, it's got a very low base HP stat, and then Taunt to prevent Thunder Waves, Toxics, Will-O-Wisp, whatever comes your way. The next set is just going to be a Spell Tag set. I think Spell Tag or Fairy Plate could be used in this situation depending on the matchup. Obviously, if this is Draft League and you have Shadow Ball, Moonblast, Mystical Fire, and Memento, just slapping on a last move, I think that Shadow Ball, Moonblast, and Mystical Fire is basically perfect coverage. I don't know of anything that's going to wall you except for a bulky normal like Blissey. But other than that, you can Memento on something, get your damage out, and then Memento on something, and then have something set up in the back. Next up, we're going to have Taunt, Calm Mind, just a very simple set. Taunt on things, can't get Toxic, you get a free Calm Mind up. Obviously, this is a substitute to... Well, that's weird. This is a substitute to substitute, but I think I would prefer Sub Calm Mind over Taunt Calm Mind. Obviously, just depends on the matchup. And then lastly, we're going to have a Paris Trap set. Mean Look, Paris Song, Protect, and Pain Split. You can have whatever you want in that last slot. Maybe an attacking move, Shadow Ball, Moonblast, depending on the matchup. I have Pain Split for longevity more so this thing can Mean Look, Paris Song, a lot of different Pokemon, not just one. But obviously, you know, this probably isn't his best set. His best set are going to be these first two, Choice Specs and Sub Calm Mind. But this Pokemon is fantastic. It has a lot of different options, and not really much else to say about it. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this Pokemon down below. There's actually a comment left on my Slitherwing video that I really enjoyed that was talking about Slitherwing in VGC versus in singles. Gave me a little bit of new insight, helped me look at it. So you guys can go ahead and leave some comments down below on your favorite Flutter Mane sets, any good games you've had with Flutter Mane before it was banned from Ubers, if you're excited to use it in some draft leagues, whatever draft leagues are allowing it. And make sure to check out my last video, which should be in the top right now, should be my Roaring Moon competitive analysis. Next Pokemon is probably going to be Iron Valiant. I'm not entirely sure yet, but thank you guys so much for watching. And for now, guys, this has been John Jr. signing off.